All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome into today's edition of In the Game. I am your host, Hustle, and as always, we'll be diving into the crypto gaming markets today as I have a very special guest from Darewise Studios. The CEO will be joining me today to discuss all things under Darewise and everything going on with right now their feature title, Life Beyond, which is really looking super solid. I have hopped in myself, and the gameplay is very fluid. We'll talk all things about the ecosystem and everything coming around the corner with Darewise and Life Beyond. So without further ado, let's get in the game.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
If you ain't here to hustle, why is you here? But if you here to hustle, the moon is near. It's crypto Benton, not financial advice. If you don't listen, what's the cost, what's the price? This ain't a game, put you on game. I know you gon' play, but ain't a percent. If you ain't here to hustle, why is you here? But if you here to hustle, the moon is near. It's crypto Benton, not financial advice. If you don't listen, what's the cost, what's the price? This ain't a game, put you on game. I know you gon' play, but ain't a play. If you get lost, show you the way.
All right, let's dive right into it. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed the video and drop down below and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content as well. If you want cryptocurrency content every single day here on Crypto Banter. And this is a sponsored video by Animoca Brands, as we are very happy to be joined by the CEO of Darewise. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. I know it is a Saturday. I know things are hectic. How are you today?
I didn't have any better things to do. I'm so happy to be with you guys. Hi.
I'm stoked to have you on. Thank you so much. And I'll let you just kind of take the floor really quick. If you want to give a brief introduction to yourself and then Darewise, as well as all the cool stuff you guys have under your umbrella.
Sure. So, hi everybody. I'm Benjamin. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Darwise. I'm a French guy, but as often I like to say, I'm a nice one. So Darwise is a Paris headquartered company now, running over a few locations. We have over 100 people distributed across 3 studios in Paris, London, and Barcelona. We all come from the AAA gaming world. I was one of the game directors of Assassin's Creed back in the days.
Okay.
If you guys played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I worked on the franchise a bit further, always focusing on the development of the online component of the experience, the multiplayer, the social. Everything that would connect players, and we built a really outstanding team coming from the very more traditional gaming world, who built some of the most famous games. My co-founder was the lead engineer of the division. Our creative director Mark was the game director of Assassin's Creed Unity. So we have this really kick-ass team that has been developing this very new type of experience. We're going to talk about it. We could call it an MMORPG, but I think it will go way beyond. And we have decided a few years ago now to bring all of this on chain for so many reasons that I'm hoping we'll cover today. And super excited to be kind of at the forefront of this new wave of content, but beyond content, really, just how we work and build these things with other players and with our community. This is a very unique way.
I agree completely. I'm super stoked everything. We'll talk about everything going on that you guys have going on, which I love. And at the same time, like you said, being at the forefront of this industry, it is like being at the beginning of the next internet, free to play games. People thought they were crazy at first, right? The farm bills of 2007.
I was there. I can tell you so much about this thing. I was there at the very beginning of free to play and getting tomatoes thrown at me when it started. So
yeah, let's talk a little bit about the ideology behind NFT gaming, right? I think most people in the space come from a traditional background. So what kind of opened your eyes to the power of blockchain gaming, and what made you want to pursue this?
So at first the thing is that the move was pretty natural for us because we're MMO native at Darewise, and we've been experiencing all of these MMOs experienced for the past 20 years. So EverQuest, Ultima Online, Star Wars Galaxies. What is really interesting is that we always started these experiences as we went there for fun. The gameplay was really fun, very engaging. But it almost, for all of us, quickly took us further to something that was way beyond the simple entertainment. Some became guild leaders, esport players. Some turned this into a revenue. So we participated to this world on a really different scale, totally different level. But there was always some form of wake-up call, which was, that this, after all of this was just a game. And it always felt like just a game compared to the time that we were spending in it. And so the reason was because, first, we could always find one single type of archetype in these kind of digital societies that we were taking part to. And the second thing was that we had no ownership. So because we had no ownership, there was no real space for innovation, no real space for entrepreneurship. So the experience would always kind of hit the wall. So very hard to onboard, third parties to contribute. And third party could be as much as modders and, individuals or more larger organizations to participate to the development of these experiences.
Yeah.
So when we started with Life Beyond, we were saying, okay, we want to build the first MMORPG. Well, first you can be anyone. And so you're no longer limited to being the hero, but you can also be the merchant, the musician, the engineer, the mason. And so collectively, this really starts to form a much more sophisticated and interesting, authentic, believable society. And the second thing is we want to power this with a form of mechanism to reward the network effect. The network effect is this idea that as the population of the game grows, the experience becomes more interesting. And network effect is everything for online worlds, because
Absolutely.
you don't want to enter in an empty space. You don't want to enter an empty lobby. You want to see a lot of people, and these people actually contribute to your own experience. So our first move there was to say, okay, we want to support real money transaction between players, because then for some people have time, some people have money, and if we bring them together, well, there's like a form of free market, and kind of supply meeting demand, and so some people being able to share their skill or their labor to others and in exchange for real money. And so that was our first move. We were doing this completely off-chain at the time. And then when we started to get more accustomed to, of course, decentralization, the move was pretty natural. We're like, hold on, we can run this completely on-chain and then make it even easier. And the second thing that happened, and that I think we still only scratch the surface today in general in the industry, was composability. Everybody talks about true ownership and digital ownership constantly, and they're right. But to me, this is just the beginning. What is really interesting is composability. The fact that anyone can build on top of your experience in an absolute permissionless way, and that now you can start and you can be empowered as a developer, as a creator, to contribute, to expand the experience without needing to interact, with the original developer. This to me is the door to an insane, emergence of experiences in the future.
I agree completely, and I think it's the power of decentralization in these experiences, and it gives them a more tangible feel to the product. Like, it's one thing to be a player to Apex Legends. You're just a number, right? But when you're actually bought in with assets that are yours, you actually feel a lot more tangibly a part of that project, right? You don't feel a part of like Apex Legends community. You feel more you're just a player in a grand scheme of things, that if they lost you, it doesn't matter. But decentralization, there's a lot of cool pieces, obviously, with ownership, with the way that, decentralization works with decision making. Community can kind of guide the way that the game path goes in some circumstances. So I think there is just so many potential avenues with this industry. So that's awesome to hear your unique thoughts on that. And let's kind of parlay that into Life Beyond. So, all these ideologies kind of formed into right now with what you guys are building at the moment, which is Life Beyond. And I've hopped in it myself. I think it's brilliant. I think the graphics are very Fortnite-esque. I think that
I'll share that with the team. They'll be very happy because they worked really hard to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the graphics are really smooth, like Fortnite-esque. I think the movement systems are great. I think everything that you guys have going is very solid. For anyone who might not have background on Life Beyond, can you go ahead and kind of fill people in on the TLDR on the game?
Yeah, so Life Beyond is this next generation of MMORPG where you can be anyone you want. And we're taking you on a new planet called Dolos, um, with the Deep Agency sending you over there as part of an endeavor to establish a new civilization over there on this planet. This planet is beautiful, full of opportunities, but also very dangerous right now. It needs to be tamed. The thing is that for some reason that you guys will discover over time, there is the relics of an ancient civilization in the form of a technology that is kind of right now trying to push us back. So we're not really fighting with the creatures of the world, but we're fighting with this technology, and we need to take control over it. So the experience in Life Beyond will take the players through three major steps, three major ages or eras. First, it's a really massive single shard, seamless open world where you're going to be able to completely freely navigate, and go from one area to another. But again, some areas will be safe and some will not be. So the first step for each region, for each area, is pioneering. And this is what you guys are testing right now during the open alpha. Pioneering is obviously, as you guys can think of, this experience of going out there in the wilderness, completing a series of missions, of objectives that are right now orchestrated by the Deep Agency, which is kind of our, in the future of a private agency, the space agency. And these missions that you complete with a party of 2, 3, 4 players over there, take you in a very traditional cooperative action combat gameplay. You collect resources, you have this first flavor of the world. But as soon as an area has been secured, which will take a lot of team effort, like community effort, it's a big thing, and right now will be the next stage for us to show you guys this. You're entering in the settling phase. And so once an area has been secured, now we can start focusing on building the foundation of this community. So, base building, the first level of crafting, starting to plant and to plant seeds and start to grow farms, the first few factories, so that we can start to really survive in kind of in a sustainable way. And eventually, again, as this grows into and takes us to the next stage, we're entering in this area in the governing phase. And the governing era, I would say, is kind of what you guys picture mostly of the metaverse, experience in general. So now it's not about surviving at all. It's about thriving. It's about building or growing these communities and turning them into more advanced societies, more sophisticated with governance, with economies. And this is really, to me, where we really start to have the true metaverse flavor, which is, we're mixing social with labor, with education, and at this point where Life Beyond really becomes what we are hoping for, which is an additional layer in everybody's life. It becomes this kind of alternate reality in which we are going to be present, you and I, and I am Ben here, but I will be someone else over there.
And I think it's the core pillars of the gameplay are fantastic. And I love the governance. I love the governance aspect. As earlier, right, whenever we talked about blockchain games, I think that's a big thing that the community can really take part in. And let's talk about the economics. You had some great thoughts early on the ways that blockchain games could be integrated. How are the economics playing into Life Beyond? The NFTs, how do those all, the skins, etc., being very Fortnite-esque graphics. I assume that skins will be a part of it. Can we go into the layers of the assets within the game?
Sure. I mean, it's, I would say that what matters, especially in an MMO, it's your identity. So it's not, again, this is as you've seen, it's like a breadth of experiences, the breadth of roles that you can have in this world. Some people will be focusing more on going out there in the wilderness and facing dangerous challenges, while some will like to run a business, some will like to entertain, some will like to take care of a farm, harvesting crops, and some will be driving trucks because you have to transport resources from one location to another. So the point, what is really important to us is that we're kind of building this free-to-play approach, but with the Web3 mechanics. What we don't want to do is the traditional free-to-play model that is very kind of where you're always kind of trying to squeeze the juice out of your users, because it's how you usually monetize. You have a huge player base, and then you're trying to get a few whale, as they call them, to spend a lot of money. Our take here is more that Darewise with Life Beyond, we're delivering to you guys the lands, which is kind of the playground, and the game systems, so that you guys can start living this experience. We're running a platform basically. So yes, we are going to introduce a few NFTs because we kind of have to prime the pump, and we have some stuff coming up. You probably have heard of the Agent Zero jacket, something a little bit mysterious, but also an in-game item, and an item as for all of our NFTs that come with a very heavy, like very rich roadmap of utilities over time that we're going to keep building. But eventually the model is really that first, we're free to play, so there's no gating. You don't need to have an NFT to play the game, but there will be, of course, a few some content that will be gated to of course reward our most committed players, and most of the economy will run between players, player to players, user to users, and we will be between all of this, trying to really run the engine here, so that you guys can together start to build these communities, build these economies.
That's fantastic. And talk a little bit more about the Agent Zero jacket. I think that's ongoing, or if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of like an ongoing event at the moment. Talk a little bit about the Agent Zero jackets as well.
Yeah, listen, it's a very important part of our fiction that we're a drop after a drop, kind of this sharing with the community. What I will say first is, come look at all of our socials, Medium posts. There are a lot of hidden messages here, so I strongly invite you to participate to this. Well, we're very lucky, because we have an insane creative team. Marc Albinet was the game director of Assassin's Creed Unity. James Leach was the narrative director of Fable. Christian Brewery, art director of Fable. So you're gonna have the pleasure of playing an MMO game where you can express yourself and have this very strong level of identity, combined with really strong storytelling. So don't want to disclose too much about the Agent Zero jacket and about the Agent Zero squad. We're still wondering who they are. We heard that this is kind of an urban legend, that there's been this Agent Zero crew among the society on this planet, and looks like they're trying to reveal something, but we're receiving contradicting messages. So keep digging, you'll find some interesting stuff, and also probably some hints for upcoming things.
Amazing. I think the community loves those type of breadcrumbs to be able to follow and become their own Sherlock Holmes in a way, and figure these things out. And I will preface, guys, in the comments before the last 10 minutes of the show here, drop some questions. If you have any questions, we'll drop those for Ben to answer regarding Darewise Life Beyond. Before we get out of here, we would love to get the community involved and take a little bit of questions, but I'll leave off a couple questions before we file in a few questions from the chat box. When can people expect open access to the game? Because if I'm not mistaken, you have to hold a certain NFT right now, right, to play the alpha, or is it now open?
Anyone, yeah.
Okay.
We gated access to the current season 1 of open alpha just for a week.
Right. Okay.
Because of course we love our founders. They've been with us from almost day one now. So we have this really strong relationship with them, and we of course want to give a sense of exclusivity to our
Of course.
closest friends, but at the same time, and this is always a very strong testament to our free-to-play approach. First, I think it was 2 months ago. I mean, we airdropped over 1 million NFTs to over 1 million players. So completely, you all you had to do was to just sign up on the website and connect. So we did that really for free, and we pushed out like $5 million worth of content. And now same with the open alpha, completely free to play, free to access to anyone. Just go on playlifebeyond.com, sign up, and you're good to go. But we will have there's an upcoming major event that this time will be gated to the holders of our keys. We have a series of apartment keys, the trooper key, the founder key, the ape key, the discovery key hold, and so these holders will get access to a very, very exclusive event that will take place on October 12th.
That is awesome. So October 12th, mark our calendars for that. And we do have a question from Richard. Are there any tokens involved in the game?
There will be, absolutely. ERC20 tokens coming up. It's obviously going to be, we need a currency to power all the transaction between players, and so this is coming up. We'll start sharing more, but basically by the end of this year.
Perfect. And I love the way that you just termed that too. So many people, I'll just say, raised funds for a governance token or whatever, and it didn't really go to anything. But as you said, it's for a means of in-game currency. That is
and what
core.
I can say already is that there will not be any show offering. So
there you go.
No fundraising through this. We'll of course reveal more about how we're going to introduce all of this, but it will not. No initial offering, but I can say listing. The coin will be listed. We'll have some really cool stuff to share. We've been working hard behind the scenes for a year now. So
that is amazing. From Crystal Soul, question is, what are the minimum specs needed to run the game, and does the game support Mac?
So I'm not going to reply precisely because I'm going to say I might be incorrect, but if you go on the website, you should be able to find the minimum specs. There's no Mac version right now, but this is at the top of our roadmap because we know it's been requested many times. So we're going to take care of it. Shouldn't be too much work. It was just a matter of priority. I would say honestly the game runs on a decent PC. It's still it's still a PC gamer at the moment, so it still requires like a gaming hardware, but nothing too fancy. This is also our experience of being pretty savvy developers to make sure that we strike the right balance between cutting edge graphics and at the same time something that can stay on the long run, that can run on a lot of machines. You have to know that eventually this will come on mobile. So it's been architectured to be able to run and be completely device agnostic.
That's fantastic to hear. I mean, we know the mobile market's huge, right? I mean, not everyone has a PC, not everyone has a console, but lots of people these days have phones. Lots of people have iPads growing up.
And it's not just about that. It's also about the fact that we want you to be able to interact with this game world all the time. What we're trying to get away from, if you guys are always, me, I used to be playing MMOs all the time and I loved it, but now I run a company, I have 2 kids, I like to hang out with them as well. So these super, grindy type of MMOs that required me to spend like 3 hours every day, it just doesn't fit with our lifestyle.
Right.
So we're also trying to create something where you can come and go, exactly like you interact with social media today. This is the future of social media.
I agree 100%. This technology, this industry, I am likening it to like the beginning of social media, when we saw MySpace, Napster, AIM, Facebook, now we're looking at the Twitters, TikToks, and Instagrams of the world. I totally see this transforming in the exact same way. So Crystal says, mobile version, that is a great addition. And I agree. I think that's a fantastic fantastic layer on top.
What I can even tell you is that you'll have mobile and you'll have web. So you'll
Okay.
have ways to we're building the world in a complete agnostic way. And we'll reveal more about this, but there's a big revolution happening here also because we have this capacity. I'm very lucky to have my co-founder Sam, who is the lead engineer at Massive on the division, and especially on the Snowdrop engine that's powering the division 1, 2, and Avatar.
Right.
He was one of the lead architects on the CryEngine. So we have this really heavy R&D team that also trying to push the industry forward to get to this metaverse type of experience. They can't happen with the only traditional client server architecture. We need to go further now. We need to run things like the modern internet.
I agree. We're about 25 minutes in. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we go ahead and wrap it up? I've really enjoyed having you on. I think your insights are really, really sharp. And I love I've heard so many different things over time, and I love what you guys are doing with the project. Anything you want to leave the audience off with?
Well, I said just to quick reminder of the schedule, because it's so busy right now. So if you follow our socials, you guys will see a lot of stuff. Right now, there's a big promotion happening on this Agent Zero story because it's really our first move to start revealing more of the story, but also sharing utility with our community. So check this out, and please come and have fun with us and playing the open alpha. We'll run it for another few more weeks with this big after party, which is again this exclusive event for our NFT holders on October 12th. So you'll need either one of the multiple keys. I of course recommend the founder's key, because then you're with us, and this is the one that comes with the highest level of utility in the future. It's going to be great to build this thing together. So I can't wait to see you, and hopefully to see you on Discord to keep the conversation live.
Absolutely. And if you're a fan of the industry, guys, I would 100% advise downloading the launcher and hopping in. I think you'll be very happy with what's at your fingertips, and it'll make you very bullish for everything in front for Darewise, for Life Beyond, as well as for the NFT gaming industry. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the day. It has been an honor to have the CEO of Darewise himself. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
My pleasure. Keep up the good work. It's amazing. I'm a big fan.
I appreciate it so much. Just trying to, give exposure to quality projects, up and coming projects in the space, inform as much as possible. So thank you so much for spending the time with me this Saturday. And guys, if you enjoyed the video, if you're bullish on Darewise and everything going on with Life Beyond, be sure to like the video and subscribe for videos here every single day on Crypto Banter. I'll be back Monday for another show. As always, guys, play well, my friends.